Well, hello. Here we are. 8 o'clock. Just about. Albeit 3 minutes. How are we doing then? What's occurring? What's occurring? Sorting out a few bits and pieces. How are we all then? Greetings. How are you doing? How's it going? Can you hear me all right? Well, right, okay, I've got a number of CDs I picked up, which I'm going to show in a bit. Hey, how are we doing? Greetings. Oh, hi. How are you doing? I don't know if I'll show any vinyl. There might be a bit of vinyl, but it's mostly CDs today. Stack of CDs. Yeah, I'm good. You good? So, fellas, what's happening? So up and down. You're not doing YouTube videos anymore then, Mike? Let's bring this down. Let's get rid of that. Hey, how we doing? I do. You all right, Jim? What you been up to, Jim? You don't mind me calling you Jim? Right, picked up a number of CDs, eBay purchases, charity shop finds. Picked up a few albums where I needed to have them to complete certain discographies as well. So I'll be going through those as well, showcasing those. So let's get into it, shall we? Let's get into it. So this is a pound from the charity shop, the Stranglers. All live and all of the night. Pick this up. So yeah, it's a live album of the Stranglers. So yeah, this is a quote. So yeah, anything with Stranglers is good. Picked up some other ones from the charity shops as well. Just trying to fish them out. Got a receipt here. So yeah, picked up a load of Placebo as well, which I didn't show the rest of them, which I picked up the last time I live streamed. So we got Black Market Music. Pick this one up. This was £1. So some others of theirs, and this is a really good album of Placebos. Without You, I'm Nothing. Very good album. So yeah, I recommend. Probably the best, actually. Probably the best. So yeah, Without You, I'm Nothing for £1. I remember listening to this before. I think years ago, just after it came out, my brother borrowed it from a friend, and he, I think he ripped it to our home PC at the time. So yeah, I'm a little bit familiar with that one. These are Cherry Shot finds, and that's Sprints. All That Is Over. So I thought this looked fairly interesting. It's 50p. I think it was British Heart Foundation. This was. So yeah, this was picked up a few weeks ago. I got a feeling it's punk. And also in the same day in the same shop, picked this one up as well. Four of Us, Sugar Island. This too was 50p. I think this is alternative music. I could be wrong. I did give it a listen a few weeks back after I got it. This came out in 2016. So yeah, that's all right. It's not bad. Sometimes I just buy the odd thing just to sort of like listen to it and see if I like it or not. You know what I mean? For like 50p or £1 is not exactly breaking the bank, is it? So I picked up another Athlete album, Beyond the Neighborhood. This came out in 2007. So yeah, a bit late to the party on this one. I have owned their previous albums, so I do quite like Athlete's music. So yeah, I think I have about 3 other albums of theirs before this, which I always quite liked. So, and this is up there with the rest of them as well. It's pretty good. There's a lot of Cherry Shot ones here actually. So yeah, Tracy Chapman, Crossroads. I picked this up. This was, I don't know. It might be like buy 2 get 1 free. So I think it was one of those deals in the RSPCA. I think you buy 3, it costs you £1. So I just grabbed it. Crossroads, Tracy Chapman. Not really for me, but you know, her older album is considered regarded, you know, a bit of a classic. So I bought that just to see if I liked it. This came out in '99, so there's probably a hit on there which I will know. What else do we have? Oh yeah, this one too was a part of the deal, I think, and that's George Michael, Listen Without Prejudice, epic. So yeah, I saw it and I thought, yeah, that looks like a bit of a classic album. So I picked this up for £1, I think. So oh no, it's from a different charity shop. That would have been yeah, that would have been a different one. Bernardo's, I think. Bernardo's or Bernabas, whatever it's called. Got a really big charity shop right close to where I live, so we often swing around there and grab CDs. Another one. This one I was after, actually. I had my eye on this for a little while in my on my eBay wish lists, and that is Mick Hucknall, American Soul. I do like Simply Red and Mick Hucknall's music, so I brought this. This is a 2-disc special, so yeah, I've snapped this up, and it's good. It's a good album, actually. I liked it a lot. Didn't disappoint. So yeah, Mick Hucknall, American Soul, very, very good. And that came out 2012. I thought maybe I had almost all of Simply Red's albums, but then I sort of did a bit of research. There's quite a few I don't actually have. So Silence 4, Only Pain Is Real. It's a bit of a blind buy. I was just a bit curious to see what this is. I brought this with those placebos and that Simply Red one. It looked like it was from somebody's collection, so you know, I thought, well, maybe it's from the same collection of whoever donated it. It might be quite good, so picked that up as well. This one too, the Goo Goo Dolls, Dizzy Up the Girl. I think I do have one of their albums somewhere in my collection. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you the hits off here. This came out in '99, but so I mean, maybe I would know it had I'd hear it, but off the top of my head, looking at the back, I couldn't tell you what the hits were, if there was anything. Might just be the one, who knows. So yeah, it's probably one of their early albums, if not. Maybe that's a debut, who knows. Vangelis Themes. I picked this up for £1. So yeah, I'll start this one up. Nice little compilation. And yeah, so you got the theme from Antarctica. You got Love Theme from Blade Runner. Opening titles from Mutiny on the Bounty. Closing titles from Mutiny on the Bounty. Memories of Green. Le Petit. 5 Circles, which is a bonus. And of course, the classic Chariots of Fire. So I think this came out, yeah, late 80s, 89 this came out. So yeah, not a bad little compilation of Vangelis to pick up if you're sort of, you know, interested in Vangelis's music. It's a good little comp. Pretty much a best of his more popular instrumentals. Picked up this Bryan Adams On a Day Like Today. I don't think I've got any Bryan Adams albums in my record collection, but I might pick them up on CD because it's cheap and cheerful. But like, I don't think I have anything on vinyl. I might have the odd single, but that's as far as I go regarding Bryan Adams. I just, you know, the CD is good enough for me. So yeah, didn't he have a hit on here with Mel C from the Spice Girls, if I remember correctly? Yeah, it's all right, you know, bit of pop, I suppose. I suppose it comes under pop music. I'm not quite sure. Hey, how you doing? So I'm slowly building up bit of a Neil Young collection. And I went on eBay a little while ago, and there's a seller on there selling 2 of his albums. So I picked up On the Beach. Pick this one up. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. So yeah, On the Beach, Neil Young, which states it's the first time on CD. So I don't know when this was released. The year of 1974. So it's quite old. You know, I thought it may be a bit more recent, but no, it stems back to 1974. So yeah, and so yeah, when this came out, it was the first time it was pressed on CD. So whatever year that was, probably in the 2000s. So yeah, another one of Neil Young's added to the collection, which I'm really happy about. And Neil Young's Tonight the Night. So I went into a second-hand record shop actually last week, and they had this in there, and it was 30 quid. 30 quid. I mean, it's a lot of money. 30 quid, isn't it? You know, I think I got this for a couple of quid, if that. You know, I mean, I would like to get these albums on vinyl, but getting stuff on vinyl it's becoming so damn expensive, you know. And I'm a bit of a completionist now, so you know, it's to get everything on vinyl is cost you an arm and a leg. No, they're a bit all over the place, various charity shops, online like eBay and what have you. So I kind of lose track of where and when I got certain things. I brought the new Ash album. I haven't listened to it yet. So yeah, I got Ad Astra. This was an eBay buy. So yeah, I now have all the Ash albums. So yeah, let's just have a quick look at all the Ash albums, shall we? Which I have on CD. Let's have a look. So what I have on Ash. Well, don't know. Oh, it might be an order actually. This might be an order. So yeah, Ash 1977, I believe is their debut, the first album. So we've got the first album. Second album is Nuclear Sounds. Of course, Free Will Angels. This is a signed copy, which I brought years later. My brother had it when it came out, and I really liked this album actually. Was it 2001? So it's a good album, you know, throughout the whole album. I don't think there's a bad song on here. So yeah, songs such as Walking Barefoot, Shining Light, Burn Baby Burn, Candy, I believe was a hit. Cherry Bomb, Submission, Someday. It's a nice song. Pacific Palisades, Shark, Sometimes, Nicole, There's a Star, and World Domination. Good album. I think it's their best, but I might be wrong. We have a special edition of Meltdown on the CD. It includes the bonus live album. There's tracks on the back. I think Orpheus was the hit of this album. I think maybe Meltdown might have been a hit. What else we have? Kablamo. This is a fairly recent buy on eBay, on perhaps Music Magpie or one of those kind of stores on eBay, like a couple of quid or whatever. So yeah, I needed that one. Also picked up Twilight of the Innocents as well. So this one I think came out in 2007. Good year, I think 2007. There's a lot of good stuff out that particular year. So after then, it kind of went a bit downhill. So we got Ash Islands. This came out in 2018, and more recently, in 2023, we have Race the Night. And this is a back to form, really, for Ash. I think this is a very, very good album. So yeah, that was their latest until a couple of years later when this one came out. So in total, then they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ash have 9 albums, so that's one now I've completed this year. That's discography is done. So I picked up after a few years of collecting CDs in various charity shops. I picked up a few singles. Jesus Says, picked up this single, and we have Goldfinger. There's a really good song of theirs, probably my favourite song of theirs actually. And Girl from Mars, this as well, single. Just quick glimpse. I think I might have played some of these on my YouTube shorts, so they'll be on there, I think. So yeah, Ash is done. So on to the next one, which is the Beach Boys, and they have 29 albums. I've now completed all the Beach Boys albums. Luckily, it didn't take me too long because a lot of their albums are on double CDs. So you get 2 albums on one disc. So and most of them aren't too expensive. You can go on eBay and pick them up for like 2-3 quid or whatever. But there was some kind of like special editions, session stuff which was recorded and not released until more recently. It's not an album as such, but I didn't have 1967 Sunshine Tomorrow, so I picked that one up. Do I listen to any heavy stuff? Not so much. No, it's more kind of indie, alternative, that kind of stuff. But I might occasionally pick up the odd heavy thing, which I'll show in a minute. So yeah, Beach Boys, 1967 Sunshine Tomorrow. So it's featuring the first ever stereo mix of the Wild Honey album, plus 2 hours of unreleased live recordings and sessions and outtakes. So I mean, it's jam packed full of stuff on there. So yeah, another one off the Beach Boys list, which I just wanted to get. I picked up the first Nirvana album. Now, Nirvana isn't a particularly difficult discography to get because, of course, they've only got a few albums. But this kind of completely escaped me. So yeah, Bleach. This came out, I think, in 1989. So it's sort of a bit before I started to sort of get into music. Really, I was a bit young at that time, so that might be why. And I'm not sure really. I think it was after this album he became sort of more kind of relevant in the music scene. So just a quick look at the other albums that Nirvana has. Where are they? So yeah, that'd be his first. And then, of course, you've got Nevermind, which is just an absolute classic. Funny enough, I have a nice Mobile Fidelity copy on CD, as well as a standard one on CD. So yeah, we have this one as well. Of course, I have 2 copies of this. So yeah, I think one was a more earlier pressing and one was a more later pressing. I just kept both because they're just slightly different variants. So yeah, some great songs on here. Heart-shaped box, I've always liked that. This compilation is worth picking up as well. So you basically have all the hits off here. Just self-titled Nirvana. So yeah, Nirvana just has 3 albums, and of course the Unplugged in New York. It's a bit of a classic, and so yeah, got that as well. So that's basically Nirvana kind of done now. I don't think there's anything else really I want. Nirvana, pretty satisfied with all that. Now what else we picked up? We picked up a copy of the Beach Boys MIU album. This is a Japanese pressing, which is sealed. That's kind of why I picked it up, because it was sealed and it was a little bit of a rarity Japanese copy as well. So yeah, I got that. I do have it on vinyl, but I wanted it on CD. So, and it was in an auction for a few quid, so I just took a chance on it. So the album actually, when it was released, it didn't sell too well. It's not considered a very popular album because of the low selling point, but picking it up on CD, it might be a little bit more pricier compared to the others. And also Shutdown as well. This is a compilation. The Beach Boys had an album called Shutdown 2, but the first one was a compilation, just called Shutdown, of course. And it's got the Beach Boys on there, but it's also got other stuff on there. The Super Stocks and Robert Mitchum and Jimmy Dolan, the Illegibles. Not sort of stuff I'm too familiar with, but all American kind of surf rock and roll, I guess. So it's just a little novelty thing I wanted really to finish the collection. I've got Shutdown 2 Beach Boys. So I just wanted that as well, just to sort of the completist in me. So yeah, that's pretty much it really for CDs, I think. So let's have a quick look if I've got anything else. So look. I've got some vinyl, but I was going to wait to maybe do a video for that. Let that build up a little bit. I haven't got too much in the way of vinyl to show really. Just a few pieces. So yeah, there you go. Whew, it's warm in here. So what you've been up to? Who's picked up any music recently? Who's still buying CDs? Most people are streaming, aren't they? Let's be honest. But I think some people are turning back to physical media, aren't they? I think there's been an increase in interest regarding physical media. I think some people are getting a bit fed up with keep renting music all the time. Got to put all these CDs away now. I haven't. Have you? I heard that was coming out this month. I expect you probably got it. What's it like? Is it any good? I'm still picking up vinyl, but not much now. It's just trickling in a little bit. There's a handful of really good tracks on it, even instant classics. Really, that sounds good. How's his voice hold up? I do need to get some Smiths albums. Really, I mean, I've got one or two, but I would like his full discography, Smiths. How many Smiths albums are there? 5, 7, something like that. Could be completely out. There might be another band I might pick up on CD. Actually, the Smiths. It's not like a massive discography to complete, is it? I quite like that. It's like five or it's less than 10 albums or so. It's doable. You're right. It's Time, the first track, and the Monsters of Pig Alley, the last track, sounds like Smith's tracks. A stonking return to form. That's good. That's good. I like to hear that. So Smith's has got 4 albums, 4 studio albums, and several comps. Okay, all right. Now I've got one of the albums on vinyl. So yeah, 4 is doable, isn't it? Very easily to do that. Just trying to have a think of what it is I have. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, the Queen is dead. Queen is dead. Oh yeah, classic. I first heard this on cassette, and I thought, you know what, this is really good, and I managed to pick it up on vinyl. This isn't considered an album, is it? This is a compilation, isn't it? But I think people kind of look at it as an album, but it isn't. So yeah, the Smiths, Hatful of Hollow. That wouldn't be on your on the 4, would it? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, as a comp. So apart from the Queen is dead, then what are the other 3? All right, I'll jot them down. Might put the kettle on actually. So you got the self-titled debut, Meat is Murder and Strange Ways. Okay, thanks for that. Write it down on my computer. So the Smiths. Self-titled. Guessing that's the debut. Meat is Murder. What was the other one? Strange Ways. Okay, write that down. And of course, The Queen is Dead, which I too want on CD as well. Okay, cool. So that's another discography which is easily doable, isn't it? No, not Digital Dale. Not anymore. You know this. Stop being a wind up. Right, I'm gonna put the kettle on. Be back in a minute. All right, yeah, but no, I'm just picking up CDs. That's all. Just because it's cheaper to complete certain things on CDs than it is on vinyl. But I still collect vinyl. Just a bit less this year. Cutting back a bit on vinyl this year. Yeah, he thinks it's pretty good. The new album. I'll have to look out for that then. So behind on a lot of stuff. There's a lot of like releases from the last 2 or 3 years which I've not even got yet. Like the Cure album, I still don't have that. There's Liam Gallagher's album, I don't have that. Wet Legs album, I don't have that. So yeah, there's a lot I've missed out on. I'm going to try and catch up this year. Start catching up on a few of these albums. Yeah, nice cup of coffee. Yes, I've heard that the last Leo album isn't too good, so it doesn't look like I've missed out on much on that. But yes, No Council Skies is a good album. Yeah. How many albums does Morrissey actually have now? Solo albums, of course. It must be tallying up to quite a few now. I think I've got a few of the 80s ones. Vauxhall, I think. One or two others. I think I've got a 12-inch single actually of the Smiths. I think I've got, yeah, Every Day is Like Sunday. I think I've got a 12-inch single. Got a few bits and pieces here and there. Yeah, Viva Hate. I've got Viva Hate. I haven't got the Arsenal. Vauxhall I have. So I've got two of those solo ones. Yeah, I'll put that down on my list actually. There's a few U2 albums I need as well. October, Songs of Experience and Songs of Surrender. I need just those 3 albums for my U2 collection. Blink-182, I need 3 albums of theirs. Cheshire Cat, 9 and California. Green Day, I need quite a few of theirs. The Wallflowers, I need 2 of their albums to complete their discography. Wings, I need Back to the Egg, which I have on vinyl but not on CD. So yeah, I just need 1 of Wings albums to complete that discography. Semisonic's last album, Sunshine, I need to complete that discography. And of course, Wet Legs' latest album to do that one as well. So there's a few on there which I can easily sort of do. Did he? Beach Boys took a bit of doing though. Latest vinyl purchase. I was saving them for a video, but I did pick up some singles, some 7-inch singles. Some really good stuff actually. They're kind of various priced. So yeah, it'll be the singles which I picked up more recently of anything. Oh, I brought a single on eBay. think that'll be my more recent one. Yeah, it would be. Flipping through. So I picked up Regret by New Order. It's a really nice near mint copy of Regret. This came out in 1993. It's a banging track. So yeah, pick this up, and it's immaculate. So yeah, very nice. You know, when it came out, obviously I was pretty young when it did. I liked it, but I didn't really appreciate it until years later. I love it now. Love it. Hey, how you doing, Richard? Went into my second-hand record shop, and I had a load of Gary Newman in there. And they weren't too expensive, actually. They're sort of around 10, maybe less than 10. Some of them, some of the Gary Newman albums. Couldn't tell you what they were. Guessing, it'll be stuff from the 80s. Yeah, it is pricey. Yeah, it is a lot. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I didn't actually buy anything when I was in there. I don't. It's one of those things, isn't it? When you go in a record shop, do you have to come away with something? I tend to think, well, maybe yes, but sometimes I don't, and I just sort of like to go home and just sort of think of the stuff I saw, and maybe go in there maybe a week later after I've thought about it and maybe pick something up. Just sort of take my time to do it. So no, with this particular record shop, stuff isn't going to sell too fast because he doesn't sell online or anything like that. So he relies on people going in the shop and buying stuff. So and because it's sort of in a quiet little village, it's not going to get too many people go in there. So albums and that are quite slow moving. So yeah, this is it. I mean, there was some albums in there, and there's a Neil Young in there for like 30 odd quid, and there's a few other things I was kind of interested in. They had some Beach Boys stuff, which I think were first presses, UK presses. One was Surfing USA, which is their second album, 1963, I think. And that was kind of like less than £20. And they had Surfer Girl as well, which is a very early album of theirs, for about the same price. About, I don't know, was it £19 or something like that? They might have got a bit of a deal, but they weren't of the best condition. They weren't bad, but also, what do you honestly expect from an album which is from 1963? How good of a copy is it going to be able to get? Are you able to get when it's from 1963? I mean, the records were fine. The actual records were good. So the outer sleeve wasn't bad. It wasn't. It's better than average, really. It was probably a good. If I had to grade it, it was probably a good. Not more than that. Um, anything really, apart from Harvest Moon, Harvest, of course. I think that's the only two I have on vinyl. Is the Harvest ones. So anything other than Harvest and Harvest Moon. But 19, it's better to be at least playable. Yeah, I think it would have been. I think they would have been. But I was kind of looking at both of them. And I thought, well, if I'm going to get one, I need the other because they complement each other because they're firsts. You know, they're from very early in the discography. And of course, 19 of 19, is just short of course, £40. So, did I want to spend that much? Maybe I could have got them for maybe 35, maybe less than that, maybe. I don't know. He doesn't seem to budge too much on his price when it comes to negotiation. He can be a bit, reluctant to give you too much of a reduction. But I put them back, and I thought, I'll think about it. There was some other pieces in there as well. I was interested in. You need Harvest Moon. I think they did a recent pressing that's really good. They've done several recent pressings of Harvest Moon, I believe. It's been pressed to the hilt, hasn't it? Harvest Moon. See if I can find my copy. I'm pretty sure I've got it somewhere in my collection. Where is it? I think it's just the two albums I have of Neil Young. You got me thinking now. So yeah, we have this. Of course, this is a great album. I think I prefer this over Harvest. Unknown Legend. I love some of these early tracks on the album. Unknown Legend is classic. From Hank to Hendrix, I think is a brilliant song. You and Me is a nice song. Harvest Moon, of course, is a classic. But I think after Harvest Moon, the album just sort of tails off a little bit. War of Man, One of These Days is a nice song, of course. Such a Woman, Old King, Dreaming Man, nice song. Natural Beauty, I think, was a live recording. But on the whole, good album. Very good album. I do actually listen to this on a regular basis. And I picked up Prairie Wind as well on vinyl, which I haven't actually got around to showing yet. I think Richard has seen it behind the scenes, off camera, so to speak. I think I showed some albums, what have you. But I'm saving that for a video, really. Don't show too much. Show some singles though. I can show some 7-inch singles. This was a find in the charity shop. So yeah, these are all charity shop finds, and they vary from like 50p to £1.50. I saw this and I was like, yes, that's coming home with me. So yeah, have a guess what this is. Cover up the name. I knew what this was straight away. Would you have done? Would you have done? Probably Richard would probably guess what this is. So picked up Blondie, Heart of Glass. This was £1.50 in the charity shop. That's not bad, is it? It's not a bad price. And these records, I don't think they've hardly been played, you know. I mean, look how good they are. You stepped away. Okay, I'll show it again, Richard. See what you, if you know what this is. You've guessed it, haven't you? You've guessed it. You've given it away. So yeah, OMD. Would you know the song on there? I'll tell you what it is in a minute. So yeah, Blondie, Heart of Glass, of course, classic, #1. Made of New Orleans is on here. So yeah, Made of Orleans, which 1981. You didn't know the art cover? Yeah, well, obviously I didn't know what song it was when I saw the art cover, but I'm sure that was OMD, you know. And that's the OMD record, Made of Orleans. So it's not too bad, actually. It's I'll say it's in good condition. I've played all these, they all play through fine, no problems. So yeah, a bit of a classic here, Rainbow Since You've Been Gone, on the Polydor label. Yeah, but sometimes we get some good stuff in charity shops. So classic. Yeah, what singles are you after then, Herc? Is there anything particular? Gillen, Trouble. I'll pick this up. This was 50p. From the great album Architect and Morality. Yes, I believe it was. Yeah, I believe it was. Yeah, 81 would have been. Yeah, it would have been about right. Yeah. Slade, we love a bit of Slade, don't we? Picked up Lock Up Your Daughters in its original RCA sleeve. So yeah, and the B-side on here is Sign of the Times. So yes, bit of dust on here. So yeah, Lock Up Your Daughters, 1981. So yeah, not a 70s hit, 81. So yeah, pick that up. I think these were 50p. Yeah, you might be right there, Richard. Yeah. I mean, obviously I can't really confirm that without being in the US, but by the sounds of it, I mean, I don't think you're the only one to say that, you know. I think there's just was, like you said, there's more prolific music in the UK. I mean, what would be in the thrift stores in the US? What would you like to find as 7-inch singles? Simon and Garfunkel, maybe, such as this. The Sound of Silence. I'm showing the wrong half here. Sound of Silence. Let's bring that down. And of course the B-side, 59th Street Bridge song, Feeling Groovy. The Feeling Groovy song. So this was 150 and it's very, very, very good condition. Can't complain, you know. I think some of these singles will probably, you know, you're probably looking at paying more than £1.50 if they were in record shops. Not all of them, but some of them at least. Such as that. Is that it? Is that it? Singles? Oh no, there's a few more. Got a few classics. Cheap and Cheerful. Kim Wilde. Kids in America. So what did Richard say? Usually trashed sevens like Johnny Mathis in the thrift stores. No sleeves, looked like a car ran over them. Yeah, well, maybe we get that as well over here. You know, it's just we get a lot of that over here. All those kind of oldies. I think singles seem to be better than the albums, but when we get a lot of crap albums in charity shops, but like there's a lot of good 80s stuff you can find in charity shops, you know. Quite a plentiful era of vinyl of the 80s, isn't it? Sting, If You Love Somebody, Set Them Free. I looked at this, and I know I got the album on CD and vinyl, but I didn't actually have the single, so I thought, why not? I mean, I'm not a big fan of Sting's solo stuff, but this album this is from is okay. I much prefer The Police, but there's one or two bits and pieces he's done which I quite like, and you know, like to have in the collection. A bit of Boney M now. There's the Christmas number they did, Mary's Boy Child and Oh My Lord. This came out in '78. So let's have a quick look at this on the Atlantic label. Bit of Boney M, and of course, Dancing in the Streets, the B-side. Like a bit of Boney M. Was that ever a thing in where you are? And also this one as well. Rivers of Babylon, the A-side, and the equally as good Brown Girl in the Ring as well, which I believe is banned from the radio. Pretty sure it was one of their singles, but you're not likely to hear it anymore. And that is it for 7-inch singles. They get a lot of like jazz stuff on 7-inch single as well. You know, 60s jazz stuff. You'll see Frank Sinatra. You imagine that's, you know, pretty rife in the US as well. Frank Sinatra. Singles, you know, EPs. Done a lot of EPs, didn't they? Frank Sinatra. Nat King Cole, you know, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I've got them all. I think I've got them all on vinyl as well, actually. I know I've got them all on CD. I'm pretty sure I got them all on vinyl. Let's have a look. ST. Yeah. Oh yeah. A lot of Steely Dan. So I think they've only got, if I remember correctly, they've only got 5 albums, have they not? Simon and Garfunkel. I don't think they've got many albums, have they? So I got this comp, 17 of their all-time greatest recordings. You see that pretty often in charity shops. The greatest hits, of course. See that everywhere, don't you? And you do see the Simon and Garfunkel stuff in charity shops as well. Maybe not all the albums, but a good majority of them. This one I brought from the record shop. I think that was the only one I needed to complete, and that's Wednesday morning at 3 a.m. Quite a nice copy of that. I don't think it's an original. Probably, I don't know, a 70s or maybe an 80s repressing. Also got, of course, Sounds of Silence. I think these were all charity shop finds. Bridge Over Troubled Water. I mean, this is everywhere. You can pick this up charity shop very easily. Classic album, you know, for pittance, you know, for 50p maybe if you're lucky. Bookends, Simon and Garfunkel. This was a nice charity shop find years ago. Classic album. So yeah, pick that up. God knows when now. And Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme. I have that as well on vinyl. So yeah, I believe I have all the studio albums on vinyl, as well as CD. I think I've got a box set on CD as well somewhere. Yeah, Sinatra and Dean Martin are pretty common thrift store finds. Yeah, it's the same over here. Probably 2-3 times a year I find Sinatra in the thrift shops. Yeah, I mean they're in every thrift shop over here. Those artists. Certainly Sinatra anyway. I found records at charity shops that you know that were rare and worth money. In other words, you struck gold. I have, yeah. I think my best find was New Order Substance, and it was 49p in a charity shop. They also had some Echo and the Bunnymen as well. Same price as 49p. I was absolutely stoked to pick that up for such cheap amount. You don't get that so much anymore. I've never come across it, you know, to pick stuff up like that for like, you know, less than 50p. You know, even if it was £1, of course, it's a bargain, you know. And I just don't seem to come across them anymore. I think people of these shops have cottoned on to the vinyl, be interested in vinyl, you know, and how popular it's now become. So yeah, where is it? Where's my Substance album? Oh dear. I do have a few Nat King Cole albums actually. I do quite like Nat King Cole. Some of his albums are really nice. So yeah, we were talking about Neil Young earlier, weren't we? We got the Harvest copy of Harvest. Let's bring that down. So yeah, copy of Harvest. Neil Young was the it's not the first. It's not his debut, is it? It's not his debut, but it's very early into his career. I think it's his first real sort of biggish album, wasn't it? I think Harvest was Heart of Gold was a #1 in the US, which kind of, made this album as big as it is. Out on the Weekend, the first song, I love that. Absolutely love it. And there's some other good tracks on here. Old Man, Harvest. I'm not keen on A Man Needs a Maid. It doesn't. It's just, yeah, it doesn't resonate with me. But apart from that, it's good, very good. So yeah, this was I've showed this so many times now. This New Order Substance was 49p in a charity shop. Like I said, as well as some Echo and the Bunnymen stuff. Still got its original Smiths price sticker on there of £7.49. So I mean, I paid 49. That's what I paid for all those years later. So yeah, paid less than what actually was released. So yeah, 49p for this. Unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable. You don't. That was probably, I don't know, 5 years ago now, and I just think, you're not likely to find stuff like that for those kind of prices now. But however, watching Spectrum Tube's channel, he's picked up a load of Rush albums for like, I don't know, 50p or £1. He picked up about 5 Rush albums for about that. So it depends. Sometimes, they just don't know what they got, and they just mark everything for like 50p or £1 without thinking of too much about it. So you just a case of going in there and just getting lucky, really, But I think there's so much more on it now. Some of these shops, these charity shops, they even have like a record collector go in there and price up their stuff. But quite often some of this stuff is like ridiculously expensive. It's a few weeks back I went into a charity shop after buying a load of new vinyl from them, which was fairly reasonably priced. Brought some Led Zeppelin albums. I think that's Led Zeppelin, the first album and the third. They were like £25 each. They were like deluxe copies, so they're probably worth a bit more than £25. But anyway, I snapped out all this newish vinyl in there, and I popped back round there about 3 days later, because they told me they had some more stuff to go out. So I started looking around, and they had some like used stuff, and they had Wings' greatest hits on the rack going for like 40 quid. I mean, like 40 what? 40 quid for this? It's a £5 record, £10 record, and you want 40 quid for it? It's obscene amount. If you're going to put prices like that on records, then they're just going to sit there. They're not going to go. I just think it's pointless hiking the prices up to such extreme. Keep this stuff, get this stuff in. I mean, they get it for free, don't they? They get all this stuff for free. Set a price which is a bargain, because it will go. People will snap it up. It won't sit there. When it won't end up in the bin or taken to another shop. It's just get rid of it. Sell it cheap. Get rid of it. Let people get their bargains. They get it for free. Don't have to keep hiking the prices up so extreme. I had a few of them. I did actually have a few firsts. I believe I sold them. I kind of regret it now, looking back. I know it is. It's an insane bargain. I know. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. when I saw it, when I saw Substance there on the rack with other stuff, with Echo and Bunnyman stuff, sort of, on the rack, I thought, I mean, I wasn't as knowledgeable then as I am now, but even when I saw it then, I thought that's an expensive record, and I'm not too familiar with the hobby back then, but I knew that was worth a bit. Even back then, in the early years of collecting, it's probably more than 5 years now. It's probably maybe sort of closer to 10 years actually thinking about it. But there you go. Sometimes you just strike gold. If I was in the States, though, I would like to go into the thrift shops and just have a look around, just out of like curiosity, to see what they have. If I was visiting the States. I'll send you some of my Neil Young multiples for the cost of shipping if you're interested. I've just dig them out. The bulk of my collection is still packed in bins in my basement. Oh wow, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. I'll be interested. Yeah. Trying to think if I've got anything I can send you back. Let us know. I've cleared out a load of vinyl myself, but I still have a load of like other copies, doubles of various things, Genesis and stuff like that, which maybe we could sort something out. Let us know. Actually, I might do a video of my doubles, so people can sort of see and maybe trade. The best find was AC/DC TNT, an Aussie press for 20 quid, but it's worth way more. Yeah, TNT. Wasn't there two albums they released in Oz? I think, was it TNT one of them? The first two albums. I might be wrong, but Australia got different pressing as to what actually came out later on in globally. I think they merged two of the albums together, didn't they? Yeah, I do have one of them in my collection. I ordered 7-inch from Domino and it cost me £21. Sorry, $21 shipped. Yeah, it's a lot of money in it shipping. That's what I see at record fairs now. Overpriced shit. One of the reasons I hate record fairs these days. Yeah, I have noticed that myself. I mean, I went to a little one in my hometown. Obviously, I found that Oasis one, and I think I was the Beach Boys one I picked up. But that was very much at the end of me being there. I was going through other records and seeing stuff which I thought, this is a lot of money for, some of this stuff, what they wanted for, I thought, it's a lot, and I was looking at the vinyl, the scratches and things on it, and they want 20 quid, 30 quid for certain things. And I just like, I'm not sure. I don't want to be spending that kind of money on something which isn't all that great condition. It's got to be right. It's got to be the right album, and it's got to be in a condition I'm happy to part with that money with. Certainly if it's sort of 20 plus quid. AC/DC High Voltage, different cover artwork and different track lists. Yeah, I think it is High Voltage. I have 2 copies of High Voltage, and one of them is a like a cartoon front cover, and the other one it is a drawing of one of the band members. Angus, I think, is on it, isn't it? I think I actually have both of those. Got me thinking now. I've still got a load of records here, which I'm going to get rid of. I went to my my charity shop I was donating to, and they had a sign up, no more donations. So I sort of like flagged one of the workers there down. I sort of said, will you still take this or not? Because it is rather heavy. I didn't really want to walk all the way back to the car with it. She said, yeah, go on then, we'll still have it. So I managed to get rid of another bag at the charity shop. I've got a couple of more I've got to take down. I've also got a bag here of doubles. So yeah, it's just a bag of doubles, and maybe we could, and it's heavy, of course. Maybe we could go through it and have a quick look of what's in here. I've also got a load of 12-inch singles as well, which they aren't doubles, but I'm thinking of parting with them really. So I just wonder, is shipping costs would be prohibitive? I don't know. It would probably be expensive. No worries. I've been around the VC forever, since it was just a few streamers like Super Wes, and I've still never sent out any VCLT. So I'm finally happy to share. I didn't know you were stretched back that far, Hercule. No, you've probably been doing it a lot longer than I have. Then you've probably been around a lot longer than myself and others. So, doubles. There is a load of doubles on here. Some of them are, better than others. So we got ZZ Top, Eliminator. That's very popular, of course, in the States as well. Whitney Houston. It's a nice. I think it's a German copy. Yeah, I believe it is. I believe this is a nice German copy. What else do we have? I got a nice copy of The Who, first pressing, Tommy. I have a new record of this album, so I don't really need this anymore. Really, I'd rather keep my my newest record and give that one in, trade that one in. China Crisis, Flaunt the Imperfection, and of course you got the producer Walter Becker from Steely Dan, of course. So yeah, Black Man Ray, great song, and good album actually. Talking about Johnny Mathis, I have a couple of copies of this. Ride on the Rainbow. I've always liked this. This is a classic of Johnny Mathis. I don't think you need anything else really of regarding his. I mean, Misty is a lovely song, and it's a good album actually. I do like that, but I think I got another copy of it somewhere. So I got copies of U2 Unforgettable Fire. I've got another copy of this. I've got 2 spare copies of the Joshua Tree. I think every time I kind of come across this in the past, I've managed to pick a slightly better upgrade than the other. And this one as well, which is also a pretty nice copy. I think U2 stuff is good to have around for VCLT and that, you know, because they're popular. It's a popular band. Taylor Dane, Tell It to My Heart. Got another copy of that somewhere. I've got a few Tom Petty albums here, which are doubles. The Greatest Hits, which came out in 1993. This is a spare copy. It's probably a £40+ record, maybe a bit more than that. So yeah, I have that. These are half-speed masters of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. This is missing its label. It should have like a silver label like that on there, which says MCA Master File Series. So down the torpedoes, and this is the same of the Master File Series. It's just, like I said, missing its silver sticker. But yeah, got Tom Petty's, a classic. Oh, another Tom Petty here as well. Southern Accents. Another copy of that. I've got about 3 copies of this buried in my collection. Also got their live album as well, and this came out, I think it was '86. This was released. So yeah, another copy of that in my doubles, in my bag of doubles. Louis Armstrong. I have several copies of this album, and they're all kind of different variants. These are the originals when it came out. This, for a short while, outsold the Beatles. What a Wonderful World. And it's a great album. Great album. Really lovely album. Of course, What a Wonderful World, Cabriolet, The Home Fire, Dream a Little Dream of Me, Give Me Your Kisses, The Sunshine of Love. On side 2, you got Hello Brother, which is just a lovely melancholy song. There Must Be a Way, Fantastic That's You. I guess I Get the Papers and Go Home, and Hell Zappin' Poppin' on the last song. It's an excellent album. Really, really great album. And a 70s press on the MFP label of the same album. And sounds just as good as anything else, really. So yeah, great range of, like you said, all kind of styles. Got several Sting albums. Nothing Like the Sun. I've got another copy of this. I think these were charity shop finds. I've got 2 copies of Dream of the Time Turtles. That's the other one there. So yeah, two spare copies. I've got some Simply Red stuff. Picture Book, which is considered a bit of an audiophile album. I'm not quite sure why, but this is what I heard. And also Men or Women. These are nice condition albums, actually. Yeah, I think these are charity shop finds. Couple of copies of Rupert Holmes' Partners in Crime. Good album. I do listen to this. I had listened to this quite a lot recently, and is it a good album? So yeah, two copies of Partners in Crime by Rupert Holmes. I think he is actually a British guy who lives in America. I think so. Yeah, I think he is British American. Of course, Escape, classic song. There's some really good deep cuts on here. Him as well, which was a hit on this album as well. But the next album after here is not all that great. So like this is probably as good as it gets regarding Rupert Holmes. And I think you can find those in bargain bins, to be honest with you. We got Paul McCartney, Pipes and Peace. a copy of this. Got a Phil Collins, A Jacket Required. Another copy of that. Lionel Richie, the solo debut. What else we have? Kate Bush, The Whole Story. Good compilation to pick up. This one. It's got a bit of like, I guess it's mold or something which gets in the white card of the album. It's quite common with this album to get this, like this kind of staining. There's the AC. There's the AC/DC high voltage I have. So yeah, I have the cartoon cover as well as the Angus Young front cover as well. So on the back, it's exactly the same as the other cover. I thought the track listing is the same. I'm curious now to see if it is. I thought it was. I'm gonna have a look. I'm gonna put that to one side and come back to that. With John Lennon, The Collection. This is a great compilation. And this is one obviously you can find in charity shops as well. It's a cheap one to pick up. A bit of R&B. I do like a bit of 90s R&B. So yeah, we've got H-Town, Fever for the Flavor. This too was a charity shop find. Knocking on the Boots. I remember that as a good R&B track. I've had several copies of the Hollies 20 Golden Greats. I've kept this one for a while because it's the best copy. But I've recently picked up 128 gram brand new record, so I don't really need this so much now. But yeah, I love this. I love this compilation. My dad used to play this in the car on cassette. So you know, memories and all that. Huey Lewis and the News 4, and I believe there is 4 big hits of this. Stuck With You, Hit to Be Square, of course, A Power of Love. Was there another one? Could have been. Genesis, Invisible Touch. I have this. I have a copy of this. Spare copy of this. I also have a spare copy of this one. Mama. Is it Mama? Or is it just self-titled? I can't remember. But yeah, I've got a copy of this as well. Mama, of course, being a hit. That's All. I prefer that. Between the Mama and That's All, I prefer the song That's All. So yeah, copy of that. And we've got a few Sinatras as well. I've got a few doubles of Sinatras, and they're good albums actually. These are. So it's the later reissue of songs from Swinging Lovers. It's the later front cover, which differs from the original cover. I think this is a 70s press. So yeah, classic Frank Sinatra albums. Got Swing Easy. I think with this label here, these sort of like are. I think it's a giveaway of these sort of late 70s, 80s pressings. No, it would be maybe mid 80s pressings actually. If there's anything digitally done, I'm guessing it would be sort of mid 80s onwards. So yeah, I think I've got another copy of this. I think I've got a copy of a slightly better copy, an MDC or something it's called, or direct metal mastering or something like that it's called. So yeah, just got to put those away, put those in the bag. Only the Lonely, Frank Sinatra. So yeah, another copy of this. So yeah, a few Frank Sinatras. Although I have donated quite a few Frank Sinatra's albums to the charity shop quite recently. We have Del Shannon, Rock On. I have that as a double. was of course his last album. Cliff Richard, Stronger. I had this in my collection for a little while. I recently picked up a sealed copy from the charity shop, so you know I don't need this anymore. So that can go in the bag. I'll just keep hold of my sealed copy and just keep it sealed. Cloud, Planet, McCalla. Got a track on there with Bono, I believe. I can't think what that one was called now. What was the hit on here with Bono? It'll come to me. So yeah, copy of that. And another copy of Brian Ferry, The Ultimate Collection. I think this was Cherry Shop Find. A lot of these were Cherry Shop Finds over the last 10 years. Bobby V, I do like a bit of Bobby V. So yeah, 20 golden tracks on here. I think I've got a slightly better copy of this somewhere. They cram these so many songs onto these albums, don't they? They're kind of like cheap budget records. The Beach Boys, Summer Days, a UK press, I believe. It's a bit stained. It's, you know, the record's fine, but the cover isn't particularly all that great. But you know, these records they're pretty old now. You know, these are 60s stuff, and you know, trying to find them in good condition, it's not quite so easy anymore. So yeah, I have another copy of this, which is slightly better condition than this. I have an 80s copy of Magical Mystery Tour. I've actually sold a lot of my 80s Beatles pressings now, apart from this one. I'm surprised the fellow who came over to have a look at my records a couple of weeks ago, he brought a load from me. He didn't see that in the collection. I think he probably would have wanted that one. Never mind. A copy of Billy Joel's Greatest Hits and History America's Greatest Hits as well. Another copy of this. So that's basically it regarding doubles. I mean, a lot of the stuff in there I quite like still, but I'm kind of hanging on to them because, you know, people might want to trade or whatever, you know, I could VCLT, you know, to people. So I'm just sort of keeping a hold of those for the meantime. But, you know, probably maybe give it another year and maybe, you know, maybe charity shop some of them. So anyway, yeah, that AC/DC, let's have a look quickly at the track listing compared to that other one I showed you. So it's where is it? Beach Boys. Okay. Did actually see an AC/DC album in the record shop I went to a couple of days ago. I'm thinking maybe I should have got it. It was like less than £10. I really should have brought it. Can't think what album it was now though. It's got like a red wall or something on it. Could it have been TNT? I'm not sure. Anyway, well, I got a Porky's pressing of this. If you want blood. Also have the Who Made Who from the was it from the movie or something, wasn't it? So yeah, anyway, Voltage. So yeah, Voltage, and of course High Voltage. Those two variants. So turn them over. You see they're pretty much the same, if not exactly the same. So let's have a look at the track listing and see if it differs to each other. So the first track is It's a Long Way to the Top. Second track is Rock and Roll Singer. Yep. The Jack is the next one. Yep, that matches the other one. Live Wire. Yes. Then we got side 2. We got TNT, which is correct on both. Can I Sit Next to You Girl, which is the next track on both. Little Lover, yeah, that's the next one on both. She's Got Balls, that is correct. And of course, the last track, High Voltage, which is exactly the same. Yeah, exactly the same track listing as that one. So yeah, I'm getting both on the screen. There you go. Yeah, in this case, they are exactly the same. So yeah, 1976. There's an Aussie High Voltage with different artwork to those two. Yeah, maybe there is. Maybe there is. Just thought maybe it was the same one, but obviously isn't. AC/DC LPs used to be everywhere, pretty cheap back in the day. I think the kids are buying them up. Was they're just not around as much anymore. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. They're not too expensive over here. They're quite, quite affordable still. One of those bands which on vinyl, which don't cost an arm and a leg. So those two you have are the same High Voltage. The cartoon cover is the UK pressing, alternative cover. Right. Okay. So when you have, it's still got its original sticker on there, the original price sticker of £4.49 from our price in the UK. I kind of like these old price stickers, it doesn't bother me if they're on the album, or like all this kind of stuff they put on. Just makes it a bit more, for me, a little bit more authentic, and it kind of it puts an age on it as well. It sort of reminds you, how much it costs. So it's it's bound to be like an 80s pressing, or what I mean. It gives you a bit of an idea of how it is in a time, time wise, without sort of having to sort of look at the dead wax and going too far in depth into finding out exactly what the pressing is and all that kind of stuff. This gives you a good sort of indication. The dog pissing on the Transformer cover art. All right. I might look that up just to have a look at that. Actually, where's my phone? Where's my phone? Blimey, it's almost been 2 hours coming up. Been rambling away. Got a few 12-inch singles, which I put in the same bag. Mr. Broken Wings. This one. Bangles, Eternal Flame. Chaka Khan. I Feel For You. Fiction Factory. Ghost of Love in one of these kind of sleeves. What do I think of Sam Fender music? I'm not familiar with it. I don't know it. Sorry, I can't really sort of say about that. There's obviously a lot of music I don't know still, and I'm still learning. Nothing beats the original Australian Dirty Deeds cover art. No, that was a big number one. The Power by Snap. What was that, 91? Yeah, put those away. Put that there. Yeah, it'd be good if you could, wouldn't it? I do like looking at different cover art on different albums. I do have quite a lot of AC/DC on CDs, but you know, I probably got half of the discography. But it's one of those bands actually I would like to complete. I think I've got some of their modern albums as well. It's a bit of a mixed bag actually. It's, you know, it's their early stuff, you know, so forth. Later stuff, it's all over the place. I would show you, but I'm not sure I can actually get them out without pulling out a load of CDs. Bit of a ball ache. It's bad enough pulling out vinyl. It's from Newcastle. All right, similar, slightly similar to Springsteen. All right, I would have known. 17 going under is his biggest hit. Oh, okay. I like AC/DC for fun, but not something I'd go out of my way for. No, fair enough. No, I mean, I'll pick up the albums gradually on vinyl, but at some point I would like to get the rest of the discography on CD at some point. Most of my kind of stuff, I just, you know, I just take my time with and just slowly build them up. But for some reason, I kind of maybe I'm getting a bit impatient now and just kind of want to complete certain things, you know. So I'm not always gonna go around to cherry shops and find exactly what I want to complete certain discographies. It's just gonna take too long. So, you know, start getting these albums in and finishing them off. Yeah, certainly AC/DC is certainly on my list to complete. I'm not bothered about live albums as such. You know, I just want studio albums stuff. You know, that's all I want. You know, studio album. That'll do me. So yeah, I've got to put those away. I've got to put Simon and Garfunkel. That away as well. A new order. So pop that there. Dire Straight is an easy one to complete. I think they've only got like, was it 5 or 6 albums? There. I'll shuffle everything around now. I don't know, the things I have to do for entertainment. I don't know. CDs are falling down. And I've got to put that away. Right, getting there. Getting there. What's with the CRT? Yeah, playing old video games. Yeah, that's what it's for. I've got my PlayStation 2 connected to it, and I've got a load of old consoles here as well beneath me, which you can't see. So yeah, when I want to play light shooters, I can just connect it up to the CRT and do it that way. Obviously, I can't do that on a flat screen. So yeah, that's why that's there. And plus, it's got a video VCR as well, combi, which I can, if I want to, which I rarely ever need to, of course, these days. But if I want to watch a VHS, I can just play it, you know. Sometimes, you know, I might have a home video or something I might want to record to the computer to make a backup of it or something. You know, there might be something I might come across. So it's quite handy just to do that. Transfer it over to my computer. Should I want to? Should I need to? I think video games do look better on a CRT. They're made for it, really, weren't they? The old SNES games and Sega Mega Drive games. Got loads of Status Quo albums here. I picked up a load in a charity shop for like 50p. They're not particularly expensive, but I mean, you probably would be paying more than 50p for them. Put Neil Young in the wrong place. I've got everything alphabetical, so I know where it is. So I've got to try and stick to it. I think if you don't organise your record collection in some kind of order, it's very difficult to find stuff. So it's best to have some kind of organisation. Keep all kind of like my modern presses at the top, and then sort of anything sort of like, I don't know. I've got a cube of 90s stuff. Anything pressed in the 90s goes in one of these cubes, and anything 80s, 70s, and 60s onwards just sort of goes in below in an alphabetical order. That's how I do it. Everybody has their own way of doing things. Give it 6 months, I'll probably change it up and do something else. Speaking of old consoles, I was at the thrift shop on Friday, and they had just brought out unpriced bin. It was full of good stuff. The manager wasn't going to let anybody buy anything out of it. Okay. I mean, that's pretty. Old retro video games have just hiked up to nowhere, haven't they? I mean, before I was collecting vinyl, I was buying retro gaming. You know, I was just buying a lot of retro games. I probably had about, I don't know, maybe probably about 200 Super Nintendo games at one time, and about 300 Sega Mega Drive games at one time. And I just thought, you know, why am I doing this? And I started selling them after a few years. I think I kept hold of them for maybe about 10 years. I think I sort of started again around about, I don't know, 2010, buying retro games. About 10 years later, I just sold them. But within the 10 years, they went up quite considerably in just 10 years. So, you know, to be going up even more in the next 10 years. I see it, yearly going up, hiking up in price on these games. I've still got a load of stuff as well. I've still got a load of PlayStation 2 games. I've still got a load of Wii games. I've got some quite expensive Wii games now, actually. But got a load of PS1 stuff as well. Some Sega Saturn things as well. Some Sega Saturn games. Probably worth a bit of money now. I found an employee to price a few things on the DL I got due on for the Wii, and got it Dark Legends with a GameCube for $1.99 each. Complete. They both are $100 plus games. Wow, are they really? Wow. Oh no, I got a £100 Wii game somewhere. What was it called? It's a platformer, and you're this shadow. I think Hudson Soft did it, and that's a £100 game. Has been for a while now. It's probably more than that now, actually, thinking about it. I can't think of the title. I've got a few others as well. I am thinking about selling them at some point, actually. Sold off a lot of my game collection too. I had a great Saturn collection. I love the Sega Saturn. I absolutely love the Sega Saturn. I sold rare NES games. I had Mighty Final Fight in a box and Panzer Dragoon Saga that I sold and paid for a vacation. Wow. Yeah. Panzer Dragoon. That's very expensive. Mighty Final Fight, wasn't that a Japanese Sega Saturn game? I mean, if you want to collect Sega Saturn, the Japanese way is pretty good way of doing it. They are a bit cheaper, aren't they? Back in the day when the Saturn came out, everyone was choosing Sony PlayStation over the Sega Saturn, and I didn't really have much interest in the PlayStation. I just wanted a Sega Saturn. I liked those arcade games they had, Virtual Cop, Virtual Fighter. I think they were better than anything the PlayStation had. But obviously the Saturn, it couldn't, continue to compete. Of course, the PlayStation sort of won the war. But I love the Sega Saturn. Look on it fondly. In fact, I actually went to turn on my Sega Saturn recently, and it blew up. So this is a console I had modded to play, games around the world. I just had to press sort of the reset button to, change the modes, and went plugged it in last year, and sort of wanted to fire it up, and quite literally it did. So it went pop, a load of smoke came out, and that was it. So I thought I could salvage it. I took it to a console repairer online, and posted it out to them, see if they could fix it, but they couldn't do anything with it, unfortunately. So that kind of sucked. Mighty Final Fight is a cutesy Capcom NES version of Final Fight that came out at the end of the NES run. So it's kind of rare. Ah, right. Okay. Yeah, because I know there's a Sega Saturn Final Fight as well, I believe, which is quite expensive. Yeah, NES games, they cost an arm and a leg. They really do, especially if they're complete in box. Yeah. wasn't the NES, wasn't it such a difficult console to, those games that were so, difficulty level was so high. Apart from maybe the likes of Mario Brothers, anything else other than Mario Brothers on the NES was so difficult. I remember my dad, he saw Star Wars being advertised on CD, on TV, sorry, and he thought, oh, I'd like to get that for the Nintendo. So, like, quite sort of like looking forward to Dad getting it. He brought it home, and it was so hard. It was so difficult to play. Hello, how you doing, Mike? Do you like SFA rings around the world? I don't know what that is. Don't know what it is. Enlighten me. I can remember like the original Nintendo. When basically the Super Nintendo was out. Going into maybe like in the mid-90s now, go looking around in old car boot fairs, you'd see like these old Nintendo consoles, maybe a stack of 3 of them or something on these stalls, and they wanted like £10 for them, in the mid-90s. That stuff was so cheap back then. The old, which would have been old generation of consoles, and and how much more expensive it is all these years later. River City Ransom was my favourite NES game. Yeah, we bought the NES. My dad brought the NES pretty much a lot later on in its sort of lifetime. So it would have been early 90s. So the SNES, the Super Nintendo, would have been around just at that time. But like we weren't that familiar with it, the Super Nintendo, until maybe a couple of years down the line. So yeah, we were still rocking on the Nintendo. Trying to complete those Mario games. Didn't really get much else really apart from Mario. I think we had Duck Hunt, which was on a double cartridge with Mario Brothers. I mean, everybody had that with the Zapper. Apart from the Marios, and of course that Star Wars one I mentioned, I don't think we played much else, because literally the Super Nintendo was out, and we brought that, with Super Mario World and Street Fighter 2 and all that kind of stuff. We had a place here called Funko Land, that was sort of like a proto game stop. They had newspaper listings with used NES and Genesis prices, and most games are under $10. Yeah, well, that's when to buy this stuff is when they're at an all-time low. But I think like now people are starting to look at like original Xbox games, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 games now as kind of, a lot of, or even so I'll say even now like the Xbox 360, you're getting a lot of like kids who own those consoles back maybe, I don't know, 15 years ago now, or whenever it was, are wanting to get games which they couldn't afford when they were like kids on those consoles, and they're willing to shell out, a bit of money now because a lot of them would be kind of earning now, being in their 20s. So that will be kind of be having a bit of a revival. The Xbox 360, that kind of generation. You'll probably be seeing games hiking up in prices on that console. There's a lot more interest in like DS games, Game Boy games now, I think, than maybe there was 5-10 years ago as well. Yeah, I mean, I was a kid growing up in the 90s, and vinyl was I just wasn't interested in vinyl. I just didn't like the clicks and the pops. I just thought it was old hat. I chose cassette over vinyl. I thought it sounded a lot cleaner for one. I know cassettes were problematic. I found that out as a kid growing up. But records, I just had no interest. I mean, I used to sort of play maybe some of my mum and dad's 7-inch singles sometimes on their like hi-fi, just to see what their music was like, sort of back in the sort of 60s, 70s, and 80s. And I don't think they really looked after their records. They just kind of like got dumped in bags and stuff, and they got dusty, and so there'd be a hell of a lot of clicks and pops on some of these singles. And I rather like a lot of my dad's stuff. He was into the Kinks and a lot of those 60s bands, and kind of got me into a lot of that stuff just by listening to these singles. But as regards to the format, the vinyl format, I was never really interested in the 90s, and it was dead. No one was buying it, and I think it was maybe towards the late 90s, maybe early 2000s, when my parents just basically, without me even knowing, just got rid of all their records. Just took them to the charity shop, and they were gone. I sort of asked, "Where's the vinyl records gone? What have you done with them?" "Oh, your dad's got rid of them." "Oh, really?" But there you go. I didn't have any money as a kid growing up. I had a little bit of pocket money per week, and it wasn't really enough to sort of buy that many CDs. I think I managed to pick up a few albums secondhand at like fairs or what have you as a kid growing up. I think I managed to pick up a couple of the Cast albums for like maybe 2-3 quid. Space, I can remember picking up for like, I don't know, 20 pence or something like that. But I think my brother, he was a little bit older than me. So he had a little bit more money, I think, and he ended up buying everything anyway. So I wasn't missing out because my brother was buying it. So, but after a couple of years, I kind of caught up and started buying my own stuff. But back then in the 90s, to buy a CD player, it probably cost you about £100, and for a kid, that's a lot of money. So you would be sort of waiting for like Christmas or something like that to get maybe a CD player. And I don't think I ever bothered. I don't think I ever bothered getting a CD player. I think how I got around it was I got the Sega Saturn on a Christmas. It would have been, I don't know, 97 or something like that. And I used to play the music through my Sega Saturn. That's how I used to listen to my music back then, you know, as a sort of kid going into my teenage years. But then we got a home computer, and yeah, we ended up playing it through the CD drive. I think my brother had a stereo as well, so yeah, we could just go into his room and play music. Completely moved to CDs around 1987 and brought almost no vinyl in the 90s. I can remember going on holiday once in the mid 90s. We went into this like record shop. Well, I'll say it's a record shop. You know, it had CDs and stuff in there, but let's call it a music shop. So I went in there and I was looking around. It had 2 floors. It had all these CDs, and I went upstairs. And they had some vinyl. They had like a very select few vinyl records, and I was looking through. And I pulled out a soundtrack, and it was Batman Forever. So it would have been 1995. Looked at it and I thought, wow, it's a vinyl record, you know, in the mid 90s. And I kind of regret, you know, maybe I couldn't afford it at that time, but looking back, had I been able to afford that soundtrack, I would have got that just because of, you know, the nostalgia. So I went to see that movie in the cinema, of course, and you know, it just would have been a nice kind of novelty piece. I don't know what it's worth now, an original copy of Batman Forever. Who knows? I'll have to look that up. I've got a couple of friends into the 90s, into records into the 90s, but I don't know anyone else who was buying them at the time. That's why it was best time to buy. Yeah, it would have been. It was at its all-time low, wasn't it? I don't think it really ever went away, because I think record shops were around, but obviously in towns and villages, you know, they were virtually all but gone. You might have them in like cities, like London, of course. They would have been still around. So I think there's always has been an interest in records. You know, I don't think it ever truly really died. Because like I remember being a kid in the 90s and going around friends' houses, and their dads were still buying up Madness albums. Like I remember one of my friend's dads. He just, oh look what I've just brought, and he was sort of telling his son, or maybe it was the mother he was speaking to. I can't remember. And he pulled out this Madness album, and you know, it was a gatefold, and he was sort of like really happy to have it, you know. And that was still going on in the 90s and sort of the 2000s. There was a record shop in my hometown which had been going for about 30 plus years. You know, it's kind of like, you know, it was there sort of the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and so in the early 2000s, I was going into this record shop, and there's still collectors going into the shop buying records still. I wasn't particularly interested in records in the early 2000s. You know, sort of towards the end of the first decade of the 2000s, I sort of started collecting records, but not many. So I was always into CDs, but he did have a lot of interest in records, all the way to the end when he closed the shop. So it never really fully died. You know, there's always an interest in records. You got your CD player for Christmas. Yeah, my brother did. It was a Goodman's. I think I ended up having it actually at some point, like, after he kind of didn't want it. He said, "Do you want this hi-fi?" I said, "Yeah, I'll have it." I brought 2 sealed copies of Blind Melon's Soup for 50 cents each when the record store was blowing out their vinyl. I shit you not. I should have brought everything. They had a ton of stuff. Yeah, I know. Retrospective is a wonderful thing, isn't it? You know, think about all the bargains what could have been had in the 90s. I am definitely glad I kept all my vinyl from the 70s and 80s and didn't sell them off. Well, you're a bit of a minority there because most people actually did, didn't they? They were selling off their vinyl to get the CDs, which I believe were pretty expensive, weren't they, in the early 80s? You know? I think if 80s stuff is still quite affordable now, you know. So you know, if it was like if you were getting rid of your 80s records, you could kind of get away with that a little bit because you know there were so many of them produced back then. It was um, even now 80s stuff isn't too expensive depending what it is. You know, of course, if it's New Order or something like that, then yeah, that is expensive. But there's a lot of stuff which isn't still. So but 70s, trying to buy back stuff from the 70s, that might be a bit more expensive. I think it's the 70s, I think the 70s is the favorite decade, isn't it? I think the rock and roll era, glam rock, punk, post punk. You know, I think 70s is generally the most spoken about decade in the VC. And in general, I think 70s is probably regarded as the favorite. Right, well then, I think that's probably going to be it for today. We can call it a day, I think. You and I have said that around 2005 is our favorite time for new music. Yeah, I think the 2000s was kind of like the last great decade. I don't think people even would say it's a great decade in the VC. I mean, some people, would who appreciate those bands at that time. But for me and you, Richard, and some others here, yeah, I say 2005. Well, we had that kind of this indie rock revival, didn't we? I mean, it was slowly sort of emerging, sort of 2000, 2001, 2002. It was kind of ramping up. But sort of like 2005, 2006, I think it was at its peak. and then sort of like 2007, you know, it started to sort of go down a bit, didn't it? You know, it wasn't quite the same quality. Of course, we had like X Factor and stuff going on at that time, and Pop Idol, and you know, there's a little bit more reluctance to promote bands sort of as of 2007. I think 2008. It just kind of died. It just sort of like went up and just went down, you know. And I think after then, you know, you really have to look outside of the mainstream. You know, certainly now, certainly anything of the 2020s, you know, there's nothing in the mainstream, you know, of what there was back in, you know, 2005. Nothing at all. Yeah, it was massive. All those up and coming bands, Reading, Leeds Fest had an incredible roster of acts. Yeah, there was. It was like every year. So as of like 2000, which would have been the time I started to get into the likes of Feeder. Um, you know, 2001, 2002, 3 and 4, 5, Killers, Kaiser Chiefs, Keen, The Feeling. They would have been 2004, 2005. What else was there? I picked up a compilation. It was called The Bands, and The Bands 2005, which I brought when it came out. And it's a great comp. I've always really liked it. It's probably one of the best comps I've ever brought, actually. I'm just having a quick look on my my iTunes, because obviously I've got it ripped in my iTunes. Where is it? So yeah, I don't know if you got this particular album, but it's called The Bands 05, and it's packed of great stuff. It's got Franz Ferdinand, Embrace, the Zootons, Kings of Leon, the Libertines, Kasabian, the Killers, the Darkness. It's 2 CD. You've got the Vines on there. You've got a few oldies, which obviously not from 2005, such as London Calling, The Clash, Baby Shambles, Horseman, The Music, Oasis. You've got an old Oasis song on there, Slide Away for some reason. Helicopter, The Departure, Placebo. That's just on the disc 1. Disc 2, we have Kasabian, Depeche Mode, Manic Street Preachers, The Thrills, Delays. I always like Delays. Morrissey is on here. Every Day is Like Sunday. I don't know why that's on there. You get like these old songs on these compilations sometimes. I think they just sort of throw them in. The Ordinary Boys. Weren't they a Worthing band? The Ordinary Boys. Near Me. I know they were a Sussex band anyway. Pretty sure they were. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, REM, Elliott Smith, Coldplay, The Verve, Star Sailor. I remember Star Sailor. I brought Star Sailor album. Was it 2003? We got Fountains of Wayne, Stacey's Mum's on here. The Ramones. So yeah, there's a load of good stuff. And they also brought out a volume 2 of the Bands 05 as well. So yeah, it was a very, very good year, I think, 2005. Yeah, of course, Feeder, Killers, Arctic Monkeys, of course. Yeah, I forgot about the Arctic Monkeys. Tons of northern bands, the music, the twang. Yeah. That's because all the 90s and early 2000 bands are still the top bill. Uh, who is taking up the helm? There are few and far between. Great newer bands like the Fountains DC are few and far between. They are. The quality of bands isn't there, but they're not being promoted. Um, in fairness, as a lot of these other bands we're talking about have been, they're not willing to promote these bands into the mainstream. They're not willing to spend those millions. It's kind of like guitar music is kind of almost been forgotten about. It has. It's all pop and other genres. There's no love for guitar music anymore. Richard says, I'm glad I saw a lot of those 2000 bands, UK bands that never broke the States. Yeah, I imagine a lot of them didn't. Repeated myself there. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I look at my like CD collection, it is kind of like most of it's kind of goes up to about 2007. I mean, I've got a lot of albums which go over 2007, but most of it's kind of before then. The majority of it is before 2007. So sort of 90s to about that year, and then other albums after then become a bit kind of sparse on certain bands and what have you. So it's kind of the sweet spot. And of course, as well, CDs were kind of sort of, I guess, after 2007. I mean, there were still relevant CDs; they were still there, but I don't think people were buying them quite so much after about 2007. I think it starts, the landscape started to change a bit regarding the CDs. People were downloading as well, of course, and using the likes of Napster. And obviously streaming wasn't around back then, but I know a lot of people were downloading stuff, which caused the record shop in my hometown basically used to say, people downloading it's killing the business, and he ended up closing the shop. So that was before streaming. Downloading just basically took everything away. And people, were ripping CD collections to their PCs at that time as well. Although hard drives weren't nowhere near as big as they are now, there was a lot of downloading and ripping music. And of course, I think you could buy music from the likes of Amazon as well. You pay 99p to download an MP3. So that was going on as well. Like I said, downloading it was quite a thing. It's funny, isn't it? It's funny how it's changed so much since then. Obviously, there is a bit of downloading going on now, of course, but not like it was back in the 2000s. Nowhere near. One thing I like about iTunes is that you can pay for albums, for the downloads still. They still have that, about it. I think it's. I mean, I don't often, hardly ever buy music from iTunes. I don't know about you or anyone here who buys albums from iTunes. I've rarely ever done it. So my iTunes library is basically everything I've got on CD, which I've ripped. But I was looking on their store actually on iTunes, and there was a few things which I wouldn't mind getting. I'm not sure if I want to pay £7.99 for downloads. You know, I might just wait for for sales or something and maybe snap them up. You know, we'll actually have a look now. Actually, and I'll end the stream and have a quick look. Well, I could do it now. Actually, I suppose it matters, does it? I could keep the stream running a little bit longer, I suppose, as I have a look on iTunes in my wish list. So it's basically got everything here, all new albums. Still, it's still quite relevant, iTunes, isn't it? I don't know how it compares to like some of these streaming servers, but it looks pretty good. I mean, the website, you know, the store looks a bit outdated, like it needs a bit of a revamp. But so look at my wish list. Because there was some Tom Petty stuff which I didn't actually have, which I've only noticed that they have done a digital release of, and the Tom Petty album I see, it's not really an album, but it's a collection of, like, you know, unreleased stuff. It's called Nobody's Children, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and it's not on CD, it's not on anything, it's just a download, to my knowledge. And there's some live stuff on here as well, Tom Petty. They've got the Long After Dark deluxe edition, which I would like to have, because there's a few tracks on there which I'd like to own. You know, if you wanted to get the deluxe edition on CD, you're probably looking at £40, and on iTunes it's £12.99. So I mean, it's an album. I don't particularly need the album. I just want the unreleased material, you know, the bonus stuff. You know, I may shell out. I may shell out £12.99. I may do it. I do really want the Nobody's Children album as well. Replicas, that too is on my little wish list. That's £7.99. Got it on vinyl. I would like a digital copy of it. Geese Getting Killed. I've heard a bit of, you know, a bit about that album, and it seems to be quite a popular album. I've listened to a few songs of Geese Getting Killed, and it's just not for me, you know. I see Rob Walker's, one of his recent videos, he mentioned an album called Normal Town by the Dreaming Spires. That's on here, £7.99. You can't really get that on vinyl too easily. I think it's on Wax and Beans website. You have to kind of order it. I think that's maybe the only place in the UK you can get that. But you can download it on iTunes for £7.99. The new China Crisis album, Autumn in the Neighborhood, that too is £7.99. Wet Leg Moisturizer, £7.99. I've got a few Neil Young albums in my wish list. After the Gold Rush, that's what I want. His latest one, Talking to the Trees, that's £9.90. I heard his latest stuff isn't too good, and I have heard a bit of it, and I think they're right. It's not quite as good as some of his older material, but I still would like to have it. Hitchhiker as well. That's £8.99. So there's a bit there on, you know, I am considering, or maybe buying, but you know, it is just downloads, isn't it? It's this, it's just MP3. It's not quite the same as, you know, hard copy. Not iTunes. I do buy from Bandcamp now and then, or Amazon Music. Downloading albums has started to get pricey too. I used to be about $4 an album, and now it's 9 to 13, depending on what it is. Yeah, it is. It's just, it's probably cheaper than buying the CD off Amazon or something like that. Yeah, but then you are just buying files, you know. I want the CD. I want it to sit on a shelf. I want to look at it, you know. But at the same time, you know, I'm going to buy a CD. I'm going to put it into my computer. I'm going to rip it to my computer. It's going to sit on a shelf. I'm not going to play it again. So, do I just download it? I'm a bit kind of, I don't know what to do here. You know, I don't know. I mean, the Tom Petty stuff, which is unreleased, then yeah, I can warrant that purchase. But some of those other albums, you know, I mean, like some of those Neil Young albums, I might just come across them in the charity shop. You just don't know, do you? For like a pound or something, you know. And maybe some of those newer ones, you know, in a couple of years they might end up in the charity shops. You know, I think you have to prioritize what you want, don't you? What's worth shelling out for? What is worth shelling out for? And as convenient as digital downloads are, and maybe cheaper as they are compared to buying it on CD, you know, can I really warrant it? Is it really warranted? I think, you know, if it is accessible on CD, then the answer is more likely no. However, if it's unreleased on MP3 format, then yeah, you kind of have to buy it, don't you? If it's something you want, you know, there's no other way around it. You know, there's no other option. So yeah, I mean, I will get those Tom Petty ones, but regards to the other stuff which is accessible on different formats, particularly CD, I might just sort of hold on for, you know, maybe if it's on a sale, you know, maybe they do a Christmas sale or whatever, and it's like half price. I might shell out. I might pay £4 or whatever it is, you know. But I think till then, I might just hold off. Be patient. Be patient. Patience is a virtue. 100% prioritizing. I stream almost everything before I buy. Yeah, I should really do that. I should do that. I tend to take risks way too much. Blind buys. You know, stuff I think I might like. But I think if it's like 50p or a pound in the cherry shop, it's not exactly, you know, a big deal, is it? You know, shelling out that sort of money for chancing, you know, an album that you may or may not like. You can't have an idea of what it is anyway. You just sort of, you know, get on your phone and you can look on Google, you know, what is this band? What is this album? You know, what genre does it fall in? You know, you can get the information pretty much there and then. I rarely ever buy digital files unless they're from friends putting them out or something. I have Spotify for that. I buy CDs as well. Yeah, okay. You buy CDs. Yeah, I still buy CDs. No, 50p is fine. It's the $20 £20 blind buys that hurt sometimes. Yeah, if it was say 20 quid, and I wouldn't chance it. I wouldn't chance it. You know, a blind buy. What's I don't know. It depends what it is, of course. It depends what format it is. I mean, I don't like to pay much for CDs now, and most charity shops, they're like CDs are like 50p to £1 to £2, depending what charity shop it is. But like there are some charity shops I go into, like the British Heart Foundation, I find, who charge stupid money for CDs, you know. But I think compared to the US, you know, I think Richard, you said that, you know, CDs are like £4, £5, £6, $6 in charity shops, which sound a lot more expensive than the UK. But when I see CDs for that kind of money over here, obviously it's pounds, not dollars, obviously. You know, when I see things for like £3, £4, £5, it puts me off. It puts me off because it's not worth the chance, you know, unless it's something I want particularly and I know what it is. I might pay £3. I might even pay £4. But when it's £5, I kind of think, well, I could just go on eBay and get it for maybe £4 or £5, or I could probably get it new online for maybe £6, £7. So you know, is it worth it? I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. Like I say, it all depends on what it is. But when it is blind buys, I don't like to pay much at all. I'm more reluctant than ever. You know, I'll pay 50p a pound, maybe £2, but you know, more than that, maybe 3 at a push. But anything after £3 on CDs, blind buy wise, no. I have to research it. I have to listen to it, or I have to, you know, find out more about it. Nah, $1 is the most I'll pay for CDs at the thrift shops. They're usually 50 cents. Yeah, I mean, they are. I mean, sometimes even cheaper than that. You know, like I said, it depends on where you go. You know, and I'm sure it's the same in the US, of course. You know, some of these stores, shops, thrift stores, charity shops, whatever you want to call them, you know, they'll do buy 10 for £2 or something like that. You know, obviously, you know, when they do deals like that, there's going to be a lot of crap, and they just want them out of the way. You know, hence why they flog them off so cheaply. But you still can find good stuff in there, you know, if you're willing to dig. You know, thing is, like, you might pick out 5 CDs which, like, oh, I like these. You know, these are interesting. You know, so like you end up buying some crap to go with it to make up the 10 or whatever it is. You know, or it might be a deal for, like, I don't know, £2 for 3 CDs, and there might be 2 in there. You know, and you might take them to the till, and they'll say to you, oh, you know, there's a deal on these, you can take another one. And you're kind of like, well, I don't really want another one because the rest of them are crap, or I've got them. So you end up, you know, some cases you end up a bit obliged to pick something anyway. So, you know, when I'm in that situation, and I'm guilty here actually, because I could actually pick something completely new I don't know, but I don't. I usually buy a double of what I have, you know, when I don't need to, because in my mind, if I buy a double what I have, I know what it is. At least I know what it is, you know. And a second copy just might be handy, or it might just be something I can give to somebody. So I'd rather do that than buy something completely I don't know and just take a chance on it, you know, because it's likely I don't want it anyway. I'm going to have no interest in it. So I kind of play it safe and buy something I already have, you know, in that kind of like buy, you know, buy 3 for £2 deal, you know. I'm sure I'm probably not the only one. True, used CDs run £2 to £3 in thrift stores, and £4.99, £3.99, £8.99, and up in shops that sell used CDs. Yeah, they do. And the British Heart Foundation. I was going through the CDs, and literally one of the first CDs I looked at was a Stanley Road album. And it was a special edition. It had like a DVD with it. It was quite rough condition. It was one of them kind of cardboard paper double disc cases. It was quite banged up. It wasn't in great shape. The CDs might have been all right, but I looked at it. I looked at the price, and they wanted £9 for it. I thought £9, bloody hell. And it's like, nah, you know. I mean, I got the standard album on CD anyway, so you know, all it is kind of a special edition, you know. And for £9, I was like, nah, no, and its condition, you know, forget about the condition alone, £9, you know, even it was like in good condition, you know, would you shell out £9? You know, some of these albums are they go on more than that, you know, £10, £12. You know, you got some stuff in like glass cabinets, £20, £30 for CDs, you know, and it does seem to be British Heart Foundation. And I just think it puts you off. It puts you, when you see these high prices, it puts you off from going to these shops. It does, because I find myself going around all the sort of cheaper ones in the town, and don't bother with the expensive ones. You know, maybe I'll check them out maybe 3 months down the line or something like that. But it puts you off from going there because you know how they price them. They're costly, and it's not worth your time going in there. And if you do go in there, you're only going to really find you're only really just going to find that you're going to find one thing and buy it, because you can't buy multiple things because it would just cost you the earth. So you go in there and you buy maybe just the one expensive CD. So you know that's when you do go in there. Most of the time, I avoid the expensive charity shops, and there isn't too many of them in the UK, but there is a few. And like I said, British Heart Foundation is certainly one of them. And there are others, but the majority of them are pretty good. There are several record stores around here that have 50-cent or $1 CD bins that are full of great stuff, like really good stuff. Some of the thrift shops are getting ridiculous for their prices. Yeah, they are. It's going to the sort of the cheaper ones where they've just got a collection. Someone's collection just has come in, and so it's all going to be the same kind of genre, you know, whether that's alternative, indie, or whatever your tastes are. I mean, I found that quite recently when I bought those Placebo CDs along with other stuff. I could tell it was part of someone's collection. It was all kind of the same era, same dated music, you know, of those particular years. and it was all more or less the same genres as well. So those are the kind of the moments, you know, you have to sort of seize on and snap some of this stuff up. You know, is when these collections come in. You can just get lucky. Most of the time, I find I'm just going through crap, you know, compilations, CDs, you know, and just it's just junk majority. And I might just pick one thing out and maybe buy one CD on occasions. But most of the time, I flick through and I don't buy anything. You have to keep doing the rounds quite regularly to find these finds, which I often do. You know, I flicker between various towns. I work in a town which isn't my hometown, so I go into that town and go into those shops. Then I go home and I go into my hometown, and sometimes I go the other way, which is a different town to the sort of westerly of me, and you know, check out the charity shops there. I mean, all the towns in the UK, they're all charity shops. Like there's charity shops galore in the towns. You're probably going to come across maybe 10 or more charity shops in these towns in the UK. I mean, the towns are rife with them. I don't know how that compares to how things are in the US. It might be the same. I don't know. It might be more. It might be less. I don't know. I mean, I see a lot of these videos of thrift stores in the US, and you've got great big stores. You know, it's packed full of stuff, and I'm like, wow, I love to sort of go in there and have a look. You know, the stuff that they sell. So I think it's a lot more grander in the US. These shops. So you come to the UK, we've got little shops, little houses. You know. But you got lots of them, so you know, and some of them can be a bit of a gold mine. You know, some are better than others. There's a national thrift chain called Goodwill. Yeah, I've heard of Goodwill. Yeah, I heard of Goodwill in the States. That is particularly rigorous with insane pricing. Right? Yeah, I think I have heard that. Goodwill. Yeah. And yeah, there's others as well you have over there as well, which I've heard mentioned. But yeah, I don't think you're the first person to say that. The waste stream in the United States is never ending. Yeah, I know. Well, it's a big place, isn't it? Huge place, and it's so vast as well. The US, incredibly vast. Yeah, I see some of those thrift stores on these videos, and I'm kind of in awe, you know, at some of these places, just how the size of them, you know, and what stuff you could pick up in these shops, you know. I'm not just talking about music, you know, and other things, you know. I mean, I've got a pretty large place quite near me where I am here. And that's probably one of the biggest. There's a couple of quite large ones in my hometown, and but I don't think that they're anything compared to the size of thrift stores in the US. They just seem to be humongous, and you know, there's bargains to be had, isn't there? There really is. You know, even sort of looking at old retro video games, you know, I expect you get a few of those go in the shops as well, which you don't often in the UK. You don't often see retro stuff in charity shops anymore. It used to, maybe sort of like in the 90s, early 2000s, but like regarding retro stuff, retro gaming, you're not going to see much in charity shops now. You might see you might see an odd Sonic the Hedgehog for the Master System cartridge or something like that in a glass cabinet but apart from that, not a lot else. I did pick up a few games in charity shops. It was about 2011. They had a Sega Mega Drive, and it was like new. It was hardly used, and it had about 5 games with it. And it was kind of at time the charity shops didn't really know about the retro game revival. You know, it was quite kind of early-ish years, 2010, 2011. You know, after then, yes, but you know, I just went there at the right time, and I wanted like £5 for a Sega Mega Drive, you know, like immaculate console, and games which were like near mint as well. There's about 5 games I brought, all for £5. You wouldn't see that now. That wouldn't happen. Believe me. You know, I know it's what, 2011. So it's, you know, a good 15 years ago. And I picked up other consoles. I think I picked up an Xbox for like maybe £5 with controllers and games. You know, maybe a couple of years after then. So, you know, maybe a couple of years, sort of like 2013, maybe something like that. But it doesn't seem to happen anymore. Really doesn't. You should have seen them in the 90s before the Vulture and their grandmothers were there. So many amazing concert shirts and records. Yeah, I can imagine. I do look through the shirts, but I don't often come across much regarding in music-related shirts. I see the Rolling Stones quite a bit in shirts, but there's nothing really which kind of jumps out at me. I have seen a Beavis and Butthead T-shirt. I love Beavis and Butthead, you know, MTV and all that, and I saw a shirt, a Beavis and Butthead shirt, and I kind of lifted it up, and it was extra small, and it was just, yeah, I couldn't fit into it, of course. So I was like, oh, that was my size. I would have brought that, and so they ended up back on the rack. And I think I went in the same shop a day later, and it had gone. You know, people are snapping up this kind of retro stuff, even if they're not wearing it, they're buying it to flip it. So it doesn't really matter what it is. If it's kind of old retro-y, and you know, they think that there's an interest there on eBay, you know, there's going to be fans for it. People will buy it and flog it, even if it's just yeah. Yeah, I used to love it. And that's what they do. I go in these shops and, you know, I roll my eyes because some people make it so obvious, don't they? They look at things and they're on their phone and they're looking at it on their phone, and you're kind of thinking, really, you know, you're looking to flog it, and they don't make it a secret. I don't do that. I can't do that. I mean, I think about it in my mind, but I don't make it obvious as some people do, because it's not rude as such, but it's it looks like you're taking the piss. It looks like you're taking the piss, and you know, I don't want to be doing that. I don't want to look like an arsehole. You know, I'm gonna flog this on eBay, you know, and announce it. Because you don't want that. For one, you don't want to look like you don't want to look like a bit of an arse, for one. And secondly, you don't want people to know about it. You know, you don't want others to jump on to your to what you're doing. You know, what your hobbies are. You know, you don't want to broadcast it. You don't want You don't necessarily want the person behind the till to know that you're a YouTuber or you collect records or anything. You know, I'm not. It's not. I'm not like I'm a private person or anything like that. I just don't want that information out because I feel that it could affect the prices. You know, if you go into these shops and you make out, you know, oh, I'm a record collector, I have a YouTube channel, and you buy a stack of records or stack of CDs, then you obviously leave the store, you know, and that might be a manager you've spoken to, and they might be thinking, oh well, there's an interest in this stuff, you know, maybe we're putting it out there too cheaply, so they might then think, you know what, we're at $1 or we're at £1 of the CDs now that we know that that person is coming in and he is a collector and he has a YouTube channel, you know, and there might be others as well coming in. So I'm always aware of that, you know, I'm always aware of it, and very rarely will I sort of state my business to people. You know, I don't sort of go around saying I'm a YouTuber or I'm a record collector or whatever. I'm very careful. You know, occasionally I might say, oh, I collect records, or you know, I've got a turntable. If the conversation starts, you know, going into music a little bit, I might give a little bit away, but I don't make it too obvious, and I don't go around in every kind of record shop or thrift shop, letting everyone know, you know, who I am or what I'm into or what I collect. I don't give away too much about me, you know. Is anyone the same? Are you like that, Richard? You know, you just sort of like keep it on the down low. You know, keep yourself to yourself. Because I do. I do. I'm rambling away here. My throat is getting dry. Yes, fucking flippers, eh? Yeah. I slowed down my buying to a point that it wouldn't matter. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So what, you say that you would occasionally visit the shops now and you know, you would occasionally buy things rather than maybe previous years you might have bought more or been a bit more of a frequent flyer. So I think where I'm younger as well, I'm still exactly okay. Where I am a bit younger, obviously, I'm still catching up with a good 50 years of music, you know, even in my 40s, you know. So like, I am basically trying to catch up with the last century as well as this century, and obviously it's the same for my kids, but they've even got an even bigger gap. You know, they're catching up. Yeah, I know, I'm a puppy. My kids, you know, they're like 17 now, so they're catching up with a good 70 years of music. So for me, it would have been 50. For them, it's 70. And you know, my 16-year-old, he's always been very aware of the Beatles, but it's more recently that he's started to listen to a lot more Beatles music. And you know, and he's like, "You're right, Dad. Beatles are a great band." And I said, "Yeah, they're probably well, they are the best band ever. You know, that's, you know, can't really dispute it." So for him, listening to the Beatles is all brand new. And he's like, wow, you know. But for me, although I'll say to him, the Beatles are a great band, and you know, and they are the best band, and he'll be kind of like, well, why don't you listen to them then? So, well, because I have listened to them. I know all their songs. I know all their albums. The appeal isn't quite there as much as it was when I was younger, like your age, you know. So I'm on to other things. So I was like, oh, okay, you know. So it's, you know, it's funny, isn't it? I've been around YouTube reseller community even longer than the VC. They are responsible for most of the price increases in the thrift store gold rush. Everything that was once secret has now been revealed for over a decade. Yeah, it is. Everything kind of is in the public domain now. Like anything kind of retro, anything music, video games, you know, even when it comes to like movies now, they know. Well, I won't say that everyone knows in thrift stores, in thrift shops, charity shops, but they have a greater knowledge of the interest in some of this stuff. Yeah, thank you, Richard. And so, yeah, nothing is kind of hidden now, is it? They just know what things are worth. They can. It's all at their fingertips, like it is for everybody else. They can just go on eBay, and you know, there it is, bang. Only thing is, kind of like eBay is. This is the thing. This is the thing I think about. You know how things price on eBay. Should it tally up to how things should be priced in the thrift store? Let's say they have an album, and you know they look it up on eBay, and it's £40 on eBay. So should it be £40 in the charity shop? I mean, both have overheads, yes. You know, I would say a brick and mortar store would have greater overheads than the likes of eBay. But it isn't eBay's product, is it? You know, it is the seller's product. So the seller has to have a deliberate inflated price to get a good profit from it. You know, because they have to pay fees. So in my mind, you know, stuff which goes on eBay is set higher than anything else because of PayPal costs, because of eBay costs. You know, there's a lot more. There's a lot more taxing on the sellers than it is on the brick and mortar store or the thrift store. Because one, they get it for nothing. Yes, okay, they might have to pay some of their staff. They'd have to pay the electric bill and all that kind of stuff. But I still think the likes of eBay would be more of a premium than it is for the thrift shops, the thrift stores. And of course, they jump on the eBay and they'll price them the same, or they go on Discogs, they'll price them the same. But the two are very different. You know, they're not comparable. They're so very different. One's an online store, one's a brick and mortar store. So I think the prices are not right. And I think where you got people researching it online and matching those prices, you get those prices in the thrift stores and the charity shops, and then people see those prices and I think, well, shouldn't that be a little bit more on eBay? So you get like eBay sellers examine the prices and they say they look the same, and the eBay sellers were thinking, well, maybe we need to hike our prices up a bit then, because the thrift store is selling it for the same as we're selling it. So you kind of get like this kind of little bit of competing, you know. And I fear this is what it might not be happening, but I fear that it might happen, you know, or it might be going on now. I don't know. So you kind of get this to and fro who is slightly higher than the other, which doesn't help either, because it is price hiking, and I think it could be a problem. I'm speculating here. You know, it might not come to anything. Then again, I might be wrong. I don't know. It's just how my brain works. I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit mad or something. I don't know. It won't be the first time. It won't be the first time someone said you're a bit mad. You know, it's just me. I don't know if you understand, if you kind of can grasp what I'm saying. I don't know. DVDs are as cheap as chips, though everyone streams movies. Valid points, but eBay gives you worldwide exposure. eBay should be more than the thrift store stuff. Yes, I agree. This is my point. So it should be more, yeah. So if you're getting like thrift stores which are looking on eBay and pricing up the same, it's going to encourage eBay to hike up a little bit more. So they go back onto eBay, research their prices, they hike their price up. So you get this kind of you know, between the two. I don't know if it's a thing, you know, or not. But I fear it might be, or it could be going on. Maybe it is. Who knows? Capitalism, yeah, sucks. Yeah, it does. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call it a day. So thank you very kindly, fellas in the chat. Yeah, the conversation's been brilliant. It's been good fun. It's been a relatively quiet stream as well. So, you know, but I've enjoyed talking to you, both of you. It's been good fun. Yeah. So, fellas, I'm off. I'm probably going to have a drink. Not quite sure what I'm going to have. And then I'll go to bed. So, yeah, I enjoyed it, Richard and Herc as well. You know, it was nice talking to you, both of you. You know, don't be a stranger. You know, you're both more than welcome here. You know, so yeah, thank you guys, and I will see you next time around, whenever that be. Probably be a fortnight or so. You know, for the next live stream. I'm guessing, possibly. I've got some videos to upload, so I'm going to schedule those out at some point. So yeah, nice talking to you guys. Thank you everybody who's been watching, and I'll see you very shortly. Bye for now.